Today we've got another guest on. So we've got Francesco Madonna. He's founder of and CEO of BitVault. He's got an interesting background story, and it actually plays a part into the mission behind BitVault and the reason why it was created. We'll jump into more about that later in the show. But first of all, welcome, Francesco, to the show. It's good to have you on. I know you were in Lugano last week, so maybe first of all you can touch a bit on that. I heard it's a very beautiful country and it's a really nice place, even without the Bitcoin show and everything like that. I think most people had a fun time there.
Hi, Chris. Hello to our listeners. Yes, you're right. I'm CEO and founder of BitVault, and I also currently in Lugano, where I just attended the Plan B event. It was a huge success with 4,600 people, record number of attendees. We are all happy as in people into a business, but also a new. Kind of Bitcoiners because every year there are more and more Bitcoins being created by the price, by the news, by the advancements in technology, the sense of freedom, the events happening around the world, which push people to self-actualize themselves a bit more and go into this phenomenal aspect. If I would say. How the conference went. I was kind of expecting this number 4,000 because last year was 2,500, something like that, 2,300. So I said it's gonna be 4,000 this year because of the price, because there is. But then there were also some other events like they vandalized the statue of Satoshi in Lugano, so there was a lot of media attention also for that, and they put it back again. So many people also think from this municipality is a bit political. Also, they came to see it. Um, there were more people interested also in the business side. We had a booth in an adjacent building next to a conference where there was the dedicated area. We have seen that unlike last year, where there was less flow, less people walking, passing by. This year, people were really curious about the development in Bitcoin businesses, and so of course, maybe people are also a bit more expert, but the industry is growing and it's growing fast. This is my take after the Lugano Plan B.
Yeah. You can see that as well. Like the ecosystem is growing, like online and offline at these conferences too, as well. Um, Probably isn't growing fast enough for us, Francesco, and where you want to go to as a Bitcoiner eventually. But it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process rather than an event. It'll take a while to get there. But yeah, there's so much things happening. Uh, was there anything that stuck out for you at the event in terms of speakers, in terms of products? Is there anything there that you really liked, or is there any theme maybe that's popping up, like different kinds of services that are popping up that haven't popped up before?
Um, there are good things and bad things happen because was what struck me. Yeah, of course, the speech of our CTO Ante Trujillo talking about on day two quantum resistant in Bitcoin, which is a topic very important. Not because quantum is a problem right now. We didn't even reach one logical qubit, so it's not a problem. But the problem is that what the media could say if there isn't a defense for Bitcoin against quantum. They could say, oh, it's worth nothing because quantum will break it, right? So you need to have something solid to counteract with. This is, for instance, PIP 360 is almost ready and will have quantum resistant signatures. And this is enough to say Bitcoin will also resist to that threat, even if, of course, there are many other targets better in Bitcoin, like the entire banking system um, to to crack. No, not why Bitcoin. And but anyway, we are also in a good position with that. So I would say the topic got me interested. Then, of course, the endless debate regarding op return. Um, this is I remember there was already last year the same debate, so the fact that there was still this year the same debate is not very good. But yeah, that's what we didn't get. But it has to be like that. There is no solution, and at the end of the day, Bitcoin is a game of fees. So that sorts everything out by itself. This is not people can have as many implementations as they want, and they, if I want to say, talking to very technical people, like people who are collaborating with me, told me look, if you have many implementations, there is a higher risk of soft fork, but there is higher resilience of the network. So at the end of the day, even if I don't like personally Boot30, but some people run it. So then it's they run different versions, so both core and nodes, whatever. So that benefits the resiliency there. So this is a point maybe important, and um, the other point on the I would say uh, there was a great side event which was entirely in Italian. I spoke there. I talked about Miniscript technology, basic, and which is what BitVault we're using, and um, and people were really surprised at how many things. Also, especially if we combine Miniscript with Taproot, how many things can be built in terms of logic systems stemming from Bitcoin. And it's ridiculous to see how few wallets, how few they support it. There should be more, and so to some extent, what light to me and also people was clear to people following my sessions where I was explaining was that it was very clear to everybody. I said, look, we are talking about having covenants, other things, or other addition adjuncts to Bitcoin, where we don't even use all of what is available today on chain, and it's a problem. Uh, but for the development of technology on Bitcoin, there aren't that many incentives at the moment because we are coming from at least 5, 6, 7 years of crypto. So all of that absorb all of the demand and the resources and the people who are working Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, the main chain and the other L2 where those things should have been built were left aside, and now we are seeing a new renaissance of the layer twos or the builders on Bitcoin because all of the other crypto is going very bad. Should be because there is no fundamental, right? So it is slowly getting traction. The also Bitcoin world for developers. That's what I saw, and what I can tell you is that there were a few developers reached out to me to say, hey, I left my fiat job for in IT and I want to work in Bitcoin, and they're actively seeking occupation.
Yeah, yeah, and that's good to see as well. Like, so it seems like obviously there's a good technical component to it. It's not just the number go up conversations and those events, which is great to see as well.
Mm.
And congratulations as well on your talk. It's good to get on stage and speak in front of people. Um, Maybe let's get into that as well. Just of the your journey, how you got into or why you wanted to create BitVault and kind of the whole self-custody solution side of things, like why that's important to you. So maybe take it right back to the start. Like what kind of Bitcoiner are you? Where did you start? What's your kind of Bitcoin background?
I'm that realistic and honest to tell you that I started like everyone, almost not everyone, but the majority of the people, which is for investment for the price back in 2017. And was clear because I also already was doing some stock, not trading, but just investing. So it was clear to me, yeah, the buy hold was clear to me before Bitcoin, but the what really struck me was the power and the charts of the volatility, which was something I could see the momentum inside of it. And that even if it's not on a chart, it has some value with it. It's a value you discover just by studying Bitcoin. But at the end of the time, I just bought and hold, and at the time, in a couple of years later, 2018, going through the drawdown, and then 2019 to study more, and then eventually 2019 it was a great place for me to consolidate my belief in Bitcoin. Then things started to change when I uh, started to appreciate the technological part of it, because at the end of the day, after you buy all I understand that the best strategy is to just buy all whatever else you do is a mistake because you either waste time or you just end up losing all the money. So while buying all the link, the best thing you can do is just study Bitcoin. So you study Bitcoin, I started from the macroeconomics, I got also passion there. Then I also had the scientific background. I always like computers. And going back 3, 4, 5 years, started studying also the technology side of it. But I wasn't still applying because I didn't find the right environment until 2022, the mayor of Lugano. I was living next to Bologna in Italy, in center north of Italy, not too far from here. But 2022, the municipality of Lugano in Switzerland announced that they would have built the Bitcoin city. So that immediately, I think 1 month after that, being that it was backed by serious people I knew in the industry, like Giacomo Zucco, Pardoino. Pardoino I didn't know much, but Giacomo, yes, I did. And it was enough for me to just pack and move to Lugano and try to build what I really want to build and start part to work in Bitcoin. Then what happened is that I already had identified this problem in self-custody, which is the vulnerability of the human being. We are all sensible to problems of physical attacks and hacks because at the end of the day, the private keys are secured, but we are not secured. Our device is not secured. We can make a lot of mistakes. We can be chased. We can be followed. We are targets basically. So how to solve this problem? I had also a couple of experience which could have ended up very badly, but luckily it didn't. Because when you meet people in person, you never know who you're talking to, so all of the precaution will break. But those back then were years where, I mean, you should, if you wanted to trade in person, there was no way without to do it without risks. You had taking risks. And in a couple of this situation, I found myself where like one time, kind of gang tried to scam me, right? But then it was a public place. So I say, "Oh, come on, this is very bad. This I saved myself because I was smart, but another person would have fell for it. So let's try to fix this problem because this can become very dangerous." And I already realized when it was about to happen to me, because people think that you have your seed phrase, you're fine, but you actually not, because somebody can know that you bought those 25 Bitcoin on Kraken, especially the Kraken employee or the Coinbase or whatever exchange. And if
And,
they
and
get, yeah, good.
Francesco, did you change your, like, so when you thought there was maybe a threat to you, did you change your self-custody setup, or did you keep things the same, or was that kind of the motivation then to work on this? Like, did you change anything when you went home? Or did you just
I,
think
I
about it?
had I had a very good setup, but I realized that even my very good setup wasn't enough to counteract that kind of attacks where people know that you own some Bitcoin or you could own. And yeah, let's figure it out a solution. So this is very bad. Cannot go ahead like that. Then I was that lucky that this dangerous experience happened when I was moving from Italy to Switzerland. So I had already changed my address. Here in Switzerland, you don't have to tell people where you live and nobody, just very secretive. Is very good. And yes, but I was so lucky. Then I started the first meetups here in Lugano, where there were high value, highly skilled engineers working for big tech, big Bitcoin companies in Lugano, even remotely. And so I would say in the first year, so in Lugano, 2022, 2023, the people who were here the first were the people who were the most motivated, the most skilled. And I was so lucky that while I had conceptually solved the problem with the time delay or multi-sig, but I needed some technical person to help me how to build it on chain. So I went on this meetup. I met my co-founder, and I remember in 2 3 hours we managed to find the solution to start a company just like that. It was like a dream for me. I say, oh, I just solved a great problem because they say in startups you need to feel the problem to come up with a valid solution, right? So I was so happy and I really worked very hard in 2023, 2024. 2 years to build the idea, validate it, go to conference, doing contests, just raising capital, producing demo, producing Figma, going to talk again, then validate, then answer the people, and then eventually form the team, close the pre-seed round, and now go to market. It was very, very long process. And we're still not yet in the market. It's only selling pre-sale. So it's a really I calculated for the I calculated something like 2,000 hours of work on this project.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. That's the life of a startup, though. But I think it'll be worth it because the more, again, it's the ecosystem, the more solutions you have out there. It might not be for everyone, but there's not one solution for everyone. Like everyone will need a different type of solution and feel comfortable with different solutions. So we'll get a bit more into what the solution is and what BitVault does for people in a second. But I know you're also keen on the education side of things. Obviously, that must be a passion for you just to spread the word of Bitcoin and the adoption of Bitcoin. How's that going? I think you co-host a podcast as well. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I've been running this podcast since almost 2 years also. It's called storybitcoin.com with my partner co-host Alessandro Taviani, also Joanna now Bergman joined us. And the idea was in the beginning because Alessandro is very expert in astroeconomics and maybe more in other things, other aspects of Bitcoin. But the idea was to show the value proposition of Bitcoin as a store of value, like it actually is right now at the moment, currently in the West, because that's where all we start from. We want to do something to store value. It's a bit early for medium exchange. Also, I think BitVault idea reflects that is a way to store your Bitcoin to hold it just. And I had the opportunity to interview I think the best Bitcoiners across the world. Interviewed Jeff Booth, interviewed Samson Mao, all of the others in our site and the list of episodes, Corey Clipstein, and the amount of knowledge I gathered from them is immense. And then they went, yes, because the one thing is when you listen to a podcast, like our audience listen, but another thing is when you prepare the podcast in the background and you really go to dissect to all of the topics and learn from the guests, from their work, what they've done, and it was something really was accomplishing and improving my skill. Also, I mean, bolstering the passion for it is the podcast played a big role also in the quality of the connection and the quality of the product and not yes also my completion, but it was already very high. But there are different ways to approach Bitcoin. That's what I've learned. There is no one size fit all. People come from different background. If we think people are back in the early days, they didn't even look at the price. They were in 2010, 2010, 2011, 2012. The very first Bitcoiners were people just all about politics, all about anarcho-capitalism, freedom.
Mhm.
That was it. But go to somebody got in 2017, it was the price, the volatility was high volatile. So then you go now, and people are attracted, maybe business owners or Michael Saylor, and then you have banks, and now you already have countries, and then you will have a central bank. So the kind of player are very different as the price goes up. The price cannot be overlooked. It's important. It's important because it's an advertisement for Bitcoin. But then there is all of the rest. That the price is the hook, but then there is all of the big town you have to explore once you get into it. Thanks to it. We have seen the high quality of the education can be streamlined in this kind of YouTube channel, like also yours. And people thank you for the work. They need people need something to not feel alone in their ideas in there because it's Bitcoiners are like to 2% out of 100 on average in the world. So if you are alone and nobody in your family or your circle of friends likes it, you feel like lonely, and you can be struggle to validate your ideas to try to engage people. So it's all very important. Um, this is about my experience with the podcast. High level of education for everyone, I would say.
Yeah, and that's one of the best things. Like we've guests on the show, obviously, and we chat away, to you and others. But there's people right into the show as well. Just email us and like have a conversation, and sometimes we'll jump on and just chat to them, and they're like, even locally, maybe around here, that they would say, "Well, I didn't know there's people in Ireland that like Bitcoin so much," and things like that. So yeah, the community aspect I always think is the best thing. Like the podcasts, like they're great to do, they're fun to do, and it's great to meet people, and it's good to show people this and keep the content going. But it is meeting people and speaking to people is the best thing about it. So yeah, love it,
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah. It was something also back in the days when you're a fan of a musical band. No, I remember 20 years ago there were forums where people can meet, know each other. I think the same can happen even under this YouTube channel. People can enter a channel or they can leave a comment and somebody can DM them and say, hey, let's. So you create a network, etc. Bitcoin is a network. What we do is just to make it bigger, to
Yeah.
support it. Yeah.
And there's plenty more work to do as well. I know it is getting bigger, as you say. Like it started off with, maybe the cypherpunks and the anarcho-capitalists, and it kind of got then more into maybe some speculators and things like that. And now it is getting more corporate. But there's lots of people out there who I speak to who don't understand the first thing about Bitcoin. Like I had someone today who I was speaking to, who's a smart guy, and I don't hold this against him, but he was like, he asked the question. He said, "But there's only 21 million, and there's 7 billion people in the world. How does that work?" So people are starting way back, right at the beginning. So, but it's okay to ask those questions because he was curious enough. Do you do much traveling or much work or much other community work around the world, or is it mostly Europe? Because I see this kind of distinction between maybe European, I'll say governments, and maybe UK, I'll include in that as well, and maybe the rest of the world, and maybe that's too broad to say the rest of the world, but some parts of the world that are pushing on the Bitcoin adoption within their country, especially the US, for example. Obviously, El Salvador. I think parts of Africa are big into it at the moment, probably out of necessity, and parts of Asia as well. I always feel like Europe is a bit behind. Now, I haven't been to Lugano. Obviously, you see it firsthand. I'm sure there's probably a buzz there that, it's kind of, maybe it's a bit of a mentality that it doesn't matter what regulation happens, we're building this no matter what. But do you see any other parts of the world, or are you mainly focused in Europe? And do you kind of share the same views that Europe may be behind in terms of regulation and things like that in this?
What's
And do
happening
you
in Lugano?
care?
No, I mean, it's a global asset, right? So everybody can participate in the network worldwide for different reasons, and that's the beauty of it. You can see people from Africa or developing countries use it to some people to transact because they are unbanked, so they need it. But even if it's counterintuitive because it's still too volatile to use to transact, and even them they prefer the dollar, but they don't have access. So Bitcoin is a good way, and you can see in other parts of the world, or like in the US, where it's there's high adoption, but it was higher even before Trump. I would say I remember the stats. It also because it's the approach how you approach life. People in the US usually have an history where they embrace innovation more than Europeans. So and European on the other hand have more history, so they're a bit slower. Yeah, I'm European, a bit slower to embrace change. Embracing change is difficult in life. It's the most difficult thing. If I can tell somebody, I mean, I have a look into it, but when you tell him you have to change your habits, to do something else like currency, for instance, that becomes very difficult. So if you have inside of you a way how the society is shaped like it is in the US, where they always chase. Um, to express themselves as something new, a building, because that's the history. It was nothing, so the European went and had a lot of risks. They're risk takers, say, because that's how the country was born. Europe has a hundreds, dozens of centuries history, very old history. So I think it's a bit calmer and takes more time, but there is high quality. In Europe, we have high quality, and I can see here in Lugano there is high quality of developers, high quality of educators, people. We are famous in Europe because I mean, universities, scholars, were always have always been the best, always, especially in Italy, but also in Ireland, they have great writers, poetry, and all of this signals quality. So when you have quality, like you have quality in Europe, it can take some more time to express itself, like a bit slower than the US, but eventually it does. Uh, the different approach also for the government. The US is pushing it now at the moment. We don't know after 4 years, but at the moment it's very positive. Europe doing nothing or slowing down or just wait and see or launching the stable coin or
Yeah.
but fortunately, but even there, nobody will use a stablecoin. The quality speaks itself. The population is very old. It's not very old. It's older than in the US, so people just stick to cash or barely use the bank or use Bitcoin. So, Store Bitcoin wanted to give this perspective of Bitcoin as a store of value because at least people, if you tell them it's an investment, it's digital gold, then they will say, "Oh, I said they can think, oh, I can make money out of it. Oh, let's study it." And maybe you can hook more people than saying that it's something you can use to pay. Because here in Lugano, there is a top-down approach where the Mayan municipality is vocal and totally everybody knows about Bitcoin because the government is like El Salvador, right? This convinces a lot of people. Nobody, especially people who support the leader, but um, it's sensible to changes. So maybe it's not a set and forget approach. It helps. What really matters and will make the difference is to follow the natural evolution of money from store of value to middle change, go through all the phases, study all the properties, and study very hard. Because the other problem, the biggest problem, or digital money, digital currency, Bitcoin, which is the only one, is that again it's a so delicate topic. It's a digital currency that if you think. I think it took me like 2 years to understand and to think about thoroughly to all of the things which could have been gone wrong. And when you talk about money, it's enough just one thing goes wrong and you lose everything. So the topic is not like saying this car has so many features. Okay, even if the fog, the eraser doesn't work anymore, it's not a problem. The car will run anyway. In Bitcoin, digital, even if one small part, doesn't work anymore, then everything crashes because it can be seeded or because it gets stuck or because somebody can confiscate, you cannot transact or whatever. So yeah, we know that this is impossible, but again, where the shoes of somebody getting to this asset, so I say, oh, there are a lot of things that can go wrong. So it means that there is no shortcut. He has to study very hard. And if he studies, he will be prized because he will be able to hold and they will be rewarded eventually. So there is a kind of um, rush to quality, meaning that the smartest people, the people who have more skills, more patience. No, in a word, people who deserve it will be aware of Bitcoin because they studied it and they will reap the fruits eventually.
Yeah, yeah, and that's interesting too. Like I think education is a big part of it. Sometimes you do need some kind of voice, whether it's somebody in government or somebody close to you or somebody famous or whatever, just to maybe mention it once for you to maybe dig into it. And that's a shame because I think some parts of society have maybe lost their own critical thinking, like the first principles thinking, like what is money? Back to that old question. Like I never thought about it as well for a long time, but now I question almost everything. But yeah, I think education is key right now. I do think that obviously adoption is going to keep growing, if anything, it's probably going to grow faster, mainly because obviously the word of Bitcoin is spreading and adoption is growing that way. But I also think there's a lot of uh, really unsettled times coming in fiat currencies as well, which will compound the issue altogether. But yeah, that's probably a whole topic that we go into as well, Francesco. But let's get into like BitVault itself, like the product, the app. So what's the core problem? I know you kind of give a bit of a backstory earlier of why you wanted to start BitVault. Obviously the self-custody aspect and the kind of ability to keep it away from people. But yeah, give us a core proposition for it. Like what is it and what does it do and how does it help people?
Yeah, sure. First of all, our listeners can go to the bitvault.sv website, and then it's very explanatory, but I will give you some information now. So let's say that you bought Bitcoin from an exchange, as I was saying before, and the employee working on that exchange knows everything. You do KYC, right? So he knows where you live, he knows everything. Then also you had a good relationship with your wife and she knows everything, but all of a sudden she's not a wife anymore. That can happen. But the secrets she carries with her, right? Or the same for men. It's not. So there are many information we give away willingly or unwillingly. If you just want to buy Bitcoin, or we buy with document, right? So this is already dangerous. And that's already happened. Somebody can know many information. And if you know that somebody bought a certain amount of Bitcoin, then yeah, you have to risk, right? Because you know where you live. So what happens nowadays is that how people protect themselves by utilizing a decoy wallet, right? Wallet with a small amount where ready to be handed over to the attacker. But well, if the attacker knows that you bought 10 Bitcoin on Kraken or other exchange, then he will not believe you with the zero point 0.1. We say, look, this is not what you're holding. So you have a big problem there because he has to believe you that 0.1 is what you have, which is the case, and he will not believe you because he has the information already. Or also somebody ratted you out or things like that. So this is a big problem, and also the fact that if you make mistakes, you download malware or you fall victim of sophisticated hacks like cross scripting, or there are many. Uh, then there's no way that you can recover Bitcoin, right? But you don't have a security system beyond uh, the normal procedure, the wallets. So the only way to solve the problem of physical attacks and the hacks is to have an additional security layer, a wall of time, a time lock. If you walk into a bank, there are vaults which are time locked, and for this reason that the attacker doesn't break into a bank anymore. I mean, it's very rare to see it. It was something 40 years ago when there was the system available, but now there are. And people, the attacker just they don't do that, or they just go with their pocket changes and some very small branches. But the fact that you have an external security system at the time at the vault, and the time is unbreakable because it's a Bitcoin blockchain, that makes it impossible for anybody, including yourself, to bypass it. So the concept of BitVault is to give an hard delay, which nobody can bypass. You set the delay once you create the wallet from 2 hours to 15 days, and that is gonna be. And this is of course not for somebody who wants to transact. This is a vault for storage of Bitcoin, and it has something that no other vault has, which is the time at the vault. So the time delay works on chain. It's not a software solution. It works on chain and is enforced by a trustless convenience service, which is yes a piece of software, but it's trustless because BitVault works on Miniscript. Miniscript has two conditions. One is that you can spend the funds with the time delay, where you sign it with your one key you have two keys or three. One key you have, and the other key is held by the convenience service. You can self-host the convenience service, have the three key, or BitVault can self-host for you, can host it for you. So let's say you use BitVault configuration, the managed one. Is a bit like us on a chain, but better because they don't have a time delay. You have a on-chain time delay with Vault. So you sign with your one key plus with the other key from the convenience service. And then the convenience service makes sure that the time delay is respected. So the time delay, however, is not being enforced by a piece of software. Is actually enforced by the CSV opcode at the level of the nodes of the blockchain. So the nodes are going to reject the transaction if it's being broadcasted before the time delay cannot just go through. So you have a security which is unbreakable because it's at the level of consensus level. And this is the innovation is combining the time delay with the multi-sig in a Miniscript setup, which can be trustless, can be open source, and what makes it trustless actually is the second part. Is if the convenience service, the one you either self-host on your umbrella or delegate to us self-hosted, let's say it doesn't work anymore, has some problems, the software gets tampered, whatever, or BitVault goes out of business, or the number crashes, whatever. There's no problem because you can still spend with your second part of the Miniscript, which is your key A plus your key B plus 1 year. So the 1 year is a fixed time. It's not enforced by the convenience service. Is the fallback, which makes sure that whatever it happens to the software setup, to your umbrella, to BitVault, then you will always be sovereign, and you can move the funds after 1 year. And there are no drawbacks on this. It's really simple. It's effective and it's trustless, and it's as useful a lot because you cannot be physically attacked for the simple fact that somebody know there is a time lock. And if he doesn't believe you, it's very clear, very big on the iPhone screen. There is a countdown, 14 days, 12 hours, and blah, blah, blah. So he can see, the attacker can see that on the iPhone or on the desktop, it might be X or desktop next year, whatever, on the software, there is a countdown. The coins cannot move. And he doesn't have to believe you. This is the point. The system tells him this is lit. So that makes all of the difference of the world and can really make you safe and pull you out of a situation which otherwise could have been very dangerous. You can stay there and insist for you to just give up the secret, but it's not possible. So at that point, the attacker will just take the decoy wallet and go away. And this has been validated just how the robberies in the bank work. There is a history of many decades, which works like that. When the attacker has a security system beyond the control of the prey, let's say, then it just understands that's impossible and it just walks away. And the same hacker who penetrates into a device or you make a mistake, we have download malware. Well, he just can try 24/7, but he will never make it to bypass the wall of time, the CSV at the level of the nodes. And while he tries to siphon out your fund, you will receive a secret notification, both in case of hacks and the physical attacks. So this secret notification is telling you or your beloved ones, somebody who knows that you are into this vault setup, that something is happening, and he will look for you. And this is actually useful to counteract kidnappings as well. This is our B2C proposition. Of course, we also aim to go B2B to sell our white label to our wallets, also exchanges, because anybody can actually timestamp the transaction and be useful as a service provider for security, including exchanges, if they leave the keys to the user. So yeah, that's how it works, basically.
Yeah. So, say for example on the app now, can you split it between like different amounts for different time locks? So can you say this one doesn't have any time lock, so I can spend it, whenever I want, and this section of Bitcoin, it's gonna face a time lock. So when does that time lock kick in? Does it kick in? Do you have to activate it and say, right, I'm gonna be robbed, so I have to press a button, or is it already activated? Do you pre-activate that for a certain amount of Bitcoin, or is it for all your Bitcoin in that wallet?
Yeah, exactly. No, the system works from a logical standpoint only if the old wallet is time locked, and that's how BitVault works. Because otherwise, if the attacker knows you can change parameters, so you can move things, then it just fails in its core principle of immutability. BitVault is a immutable vault where there is a time lock as best layer of protection. So every UTXO which gets into the vault is automatically time
Okay.
locked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's locked up. And tell me about the
Mhm.
keys. I know, like I'm a fan of multi-sig in general. I did it the old school way at before, and it's a bit clunky to do multi-sig the first time. Like it's very superior solution, of course. I also bought BitKey recently as well, and it's got three keys, very different from how my original multi-sig was set up. But yeah, how are the keys stored? How does that work? Is it similar to BitKey? Is it um like how do you hold the keys and how do you access the keys?
Yes, so we solve a lot of problems, not only the loss of the physical attacks, but we just also solved the problem of loss of the keys with the Miniscript. Anyway, the keys are in this first version is going to be just a mobile app or for iPhone. Okay, so but on the iPhone you can connect to hardware wallet. You can use it, create the seed with 2J, 2 or 3J, J plus, Keystone. It's gonna be confirmed a Bitbox now very soon, or maybe 1 2 weeks from now. So we're gonna have 3 or 4 hardware wallets, which are kind of the best because They're all air-gapped, and except for Nova, which, by the way, the Bluetooth is segregated, so it's also a very high level in security. And you can just generate the key on the hardware wallet. You can sign and confirm with the hardware wallet, all via QR codes. So it's air-gapped. And I don't see there will be the mobile keys available, but after a couple of audits, because we really want to give to our user the best security with our wallet. And by the way, Jade is very cheap. Two Jades will cost $100 bought, so it's very easy. And the iPhone, you don't need the latest version. It's enough from iOS 16.1, which means from an iPhone 8, which costs under $20 reconditioned. So, and then even if you buy all the one there, you just update. The beauty of Apple is that when you upgrade the firmware, you make sure that is legit. It cannot be tampered because otherwise it won't work, right? So for this first go to market, Apple helps because it's already box already prepared, which sounds very good security, I would say. But then you need to have your hardware wallet. Many other will come, but at the moment, all of this. And to the point where comparison with key, well, with key, this is not a feature we haven't developed yet, but we are developing it. Is the fact that I've considered a protocol which is called BSSL, and been interviewed by Bitcoin Optech News. I published on Delphi Bitcoin. I made it to review by Super Testnet, one of the best developer in the world, and also by the community, Delphi Bitcoin, because it's partly how BitVault works. But there are Taproot, there's a Taproot leaf condition, which combined with Miniscripts makes possible for two custodians to hold the two keys over your two or three, and the two custodians cannot collude. So when you lose all of the keys, you can go to the custodian and retrieve your keys. And the custodians cannot collude. This is a big leap for Bitcoin because makes possible for the first time to utilize the custodians just to hold your keys, but not your funds. And you can use them as a service provider to actually retrieve the keys. Unlike the BitKey, which is a bit of server-based solution where you can recover your keys. There's a social recovery, something like that, which of course better than nothing, but I think what we created is far superior. And you will see it as an additional feature of BitVault going forward in 2026.
Yeah, next year. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like trying them all. I've probably too many wallets, like some without even any Bitcoin on it. I just, or maybe a small one just to test them out. So yeah, I'll be testing out Bitcoin more, BitVault more in the coming weeks and coming months, I'm sure. But yeah, lots of exciting things coming. Is there anything else you want to speak about on the BitVault app, or any key messages for the audience?
I would say some people ask me, oh, maybe this is a vault for people who have a lot of Bitcoin, which is not necessarily true because that's all my message is that well, every day we will get up, we go to work, we do our things, hopefully with passion, we'll enjoy. So it should be, but still consume time, our life, time's put into work. So even if, in my opinion, somebody else like some Bitcoin for worth 6 months of his job. I mean, would you be happy to lose 6 months of your job, even if it's not $1 million? And I wouldn't. So maybe you could consider a bit what, even for an amount which will cost you time. So think in terms of time consumed to recoup the loss before deciding for a single sig or for a solution easy to use as BitVault, because I guarantee is very easy. It's your fingertip. takes like 3 minutes and a half to create the vault. It's everybody can do it. If I think of the first solution, I compare it like there was Spectre, the old versions, or also Sparrow. I mean, there are a lot of very good, but there are a lot of features there. You can be confused. No, BitVault is not like that. There is one screen where you scan QR, create the first one, create the second one, two scans. Then you set the time delay. There is a slide bar. You confirm the vault. Boom, it's good. That's it. Connect to the wallet. It's really easy. And why to give up on the best security and easy to use way when you just you bet that to waste a lot of time to recover, even if your funds are not that much. But in terms of time, probably they are.
Yeah, time is money, even if it's yeah, as you say, if you worked a month and you lost that month's work, then yeah, you've lost it for life. So yeah, no, cool product, Francesco, and yeah, again, looking forward to hear more about it and seeing it. Is there a launch date for it? Is there an official launch date?
The beta is live. You can uh, leave your email on the tested beta button on our landing page. There's also possible to purchase pre-sale the first year subscription, just 50 off because we're gonna sell the product $20 per month. So we sell the first year under 19, and it's gonna cost $20 per month. The launch date will be not before 1 month and a half from now because there are the times from Apple Store to review it, but test flight is already there.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And is there any links you want to send people to for where they can find you and where they can find BitVault?
Yes, first best thing to do is go to bitvault.sv, like El Salvador, but then you click on team section top, and then you will see me. There are my social there. You can also follow me from there.
All right. Excellent. Yeah, look, good chatting to you. I really enjoyed that. Looking forward to happy for you when you get this fully up and running. I know you put a lot of work into it for a long, long time. So, and I've met some of the team as well before, and yeah, very excited, very enthusiastic team. And you're doing the right thing, of course. Building on Bitcoin, building a new product for the ecosystem. I'm sure it'll be a great success to you. So yeah, thank you for coming on the show, and it was great speaking to you.
Thank you, everyone. Rest of the day.